Hey, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Mark, a podcast where we talk with people who are building unforgettable brands, growing strong businesses, and leaving their mark. Before we dive in, if you enjoyed these episodes, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a review, share it with someone who wants to grow their brand the right way. If something resonates with you, drop a comment, reach out to me directly. I'd love to hear from you. Today, we're speaking with Kevin Outland, the founder of Pure Energy. He's been helping companies grow for 21 years, long before social media and AI were even a thing. He's built an agency around relationships, results, staying ahead of the curve. We talk about what works in marketing, how to stop wasting money on random ads, what it takes to create loyal clients who stick around for decades. This one is packed with takeaways. Let's get into it. So Kevin, tell me a little bit about your journey and how you got into marketing.
Wow, how much time do you got?
Yeah.
Well, I actually went to school for marketing, and had some great teachers that were in the ad world. Interestingly, when I was graduating from college, the economy was really terrible, and so jobs in the ad world were few and far between. And I remember talking to one of my professors saying, the jobs were so scarce that at the time they were entry level jobs were like $11 an hour. I was like, I was making more than that in college working where I was working. So I'm like, well, I can't do that. So I went into the more sales and marketing side of things. I worked at a technology company and in sales and marketing. And it was just before the internet was, I'm sharing my age, I guess, before the internet was taken off. And while I was there, about a year or two into it, the internet just exploded. And with it, the company I worked for in the business exploded. So I worked there for quite some time and, moved up into management and so forth, trying to make this a shorter story. From there, um, I had an opportunity to work in an a music house, I guess is the best way to put it. So
Hmm.
I also was a musician and so forth. So I got an opportunity there, and I was writing music for commercials and industrials. Industrials are like the auto show when they're doing the big car reveals, and so we'd create the music for the whole reveal at the auto show and stuff like that. So that was me kind of being on the creative side, and then as I was saying, the sales and marketing side. So I make a long story short, I started a company with my brother and two friends. I again handled the marketing and some of the sales. After about 3 years, my brother and I got bought out, which was great. And so I was like, okay, now what? And I really wanted to get back kind of that creative agency side of things. And so a friend of mine owned an agency. Him and I were talking, and he needed some help on the sales side of things. So I just was consulting with his agency. Was there for only about 6, 7, 8 months, and he was really encouraging me. He said, you should start your own agency. So about 21 years ago, I said, let's go for it. So I started Pure Energy Advertising back in, that was 2003, and haven't looked back. So that's I guess the short, long version.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a conversation we had, and you were telling me that you almost at the beginning of Google started advertising on Google, which I thought was, I didn't think about that as something that I would look for, but
Yeah, Google obviously is huge for most of our clients. We're doing, handling all their Google ads and so forth. When I started the agency again 21 years ago, the term social media hadn't even been created yet, because a lot of those companies weren't even up and running. I mean, LinkedIn was the one that I recall, and yeah, it was an important platform. So as as the industry started to grow, and then things like Facebook came on board. Remember MySpace, which doesn't exist anymore. So there's a lot of these companies that kind of started and then didn't go anywhere, and there's other ones like Facebook that grew, and then YouTube and so forth. So yeah, the industry in 21 years is changed dramatically. I mean, dramatically. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, and as an agency owner, you got to stay up on top of all the new ways that your customers can communicate with their clients, and that whole digital space in the last 21 years has just exploded. Originally when we first started, we were doing, television ads and radio spots, and, then cable TV was an option too, which made advertising more affordable because, if you wanted to be on TV, that was broadcast, and that's a huge reach, right? Because the signal can go from almost Toledo up to Flint, right? And as an advertiser, you got to pay. You're paying for the amount of ears and eyes seeing your ad, right? Well, if you were a small company that really, maybe let's say you had a business here in Birmingham and you wanted to advertise in a 10-mile radius, well, broadcast TV would would be so expensive, and it would be reaching probably 95% of the people hearing your ad wouldn't be your customer, because I'm in Flint or Toledo, I'm not driving to Birmingham to, let's say, I don't know, buy a coffee or
Mm.
go to a spa or something. Cable TV really made that was one of the things, before really the internet advertising was a thing, that made it easier for people to smaller companies to start to advertise on television. And obviously with the internet now, you can not target just a region. You can target the individual type of person you want to reach, like specifically, okay, in a 10-mile radius, I want to target, women between the ages of 25 and 54, that have a household income of X number of dollars. I mean, you can get super specific on the exact target that you want to reach, and that's just again 21 years ago. There's nothing like that existed. So you have to really stay on top of technologies, and obviously the AI is a thing. And we've been using AI for years on the back end for targeting clientele and media buying and planning. And we use AI to buy a lot of the ads. It can just do it much better and more efficient than a human. But again, we've been using that for years, but now AI has started to get into the consumer realm with Chat GPT, and people starting to use it that way. So yeah, in the business of advertising, it's constantly evolving, and you got to stay on top of these changes, and make sure you can bring those tools to bear for your client.
I want to circle back to what you said about efficiency in
Sure.
advertising. That's, I mean, absolutely something huge, how much we're spending and where we're spending it. I was thinking about other things that you said, and when you started your business back in 2003, when you were defining your brand and thinking about who you were, when you were coming into the market, how, what, what did you come up with, and how did that change over the last 21 years?
Yeah, well, it was really important, because one of the things when I started it is I never had the goal to be what I would call a conglomerates agency, mega big international. And it's not that I didn't have goals and aspirations. That's not it at all. But I something that's important to me is quality of life and time. 21 years ago, my kids were kids. They had baseball games and soccer matches and softball tournaments and swim and acting and theater and all of that, and I wanted to be present for those things. So trying to grow this big huge agency fast, and mega, I just knew that that would require so much of my time, and that would take a ton of time away from my family, especially my kids in their formative years. I wanted to be there as a dad and be present and, go to their games and go to their plays and all that. So I wanted to keep my agency kind of in that small to medium size on purpose. To me, it's not all about money. You can't take it with you. So I think nobody on their deathbed's going to say, boy, I really wish I worked more. I don't think anybody's going to say that. And so I didn't want to have any regrets about the relationship I had with my kids or my wife. So I wanted to be present for those things. So again, building this big, giant, massive agency was not a goal. Building a successful agency certainly was, but I wanted to keep it in a size that gave me the flexibility to still be a good dad and a good husband, and have the time to put into that, and that was important to me. So targeting small to medium sized clientele at the beginning was what we were looking for, and developing really good relationships with our clients. And a lot of people say that, oh, build a good relationship, and that's important, but it's got to be more than words. We one of our first clients, Harvey Automotive Group over in Grand Rapids, is still a client 21 years later.
Wow.
They're a automotive dealership group in Grand Rapids. Great relationship over 21 years. We just have a strong relationship, and that's ultimately what you look for. Those are difficult to find, especially in the agency world. The bigger clients you get, you're constantly having to pitch. So it's like, okay, you have a client, you have them for 2 years, and then you got to pitch again, and you're pitching against other agencies, and then if you win again, then a couple years later, you got to pitch again. I mean, that can be, the cycle that happens. And I get why they do it to a certain extent, that they want to make sure that they got the best. It seems like that starts to come very transactional. I feel like, if a client has a agency and there's a good relationship there and they like them, and there's good synergy, I don't know, why you have to keep pitching and pitching. Fortunately, we've had a lot of clients that's not how they operate. So, because you build that long-term relationship, and is when you're delivering, why change? If something's good, keep it. So, but I'm a little biased, right?
Sure. So that 21-year relationship, and I think about that too, is I've talked to other companies and they say, yeah, well, we've had our supplier for 20 years. We just wouldn't change. What in that relationship helps to create that kind of synergy for that long?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pieces to that, but it's really about not being just transactional in your business. Here's this, here's a check. Here's this, here's a check. Here's this, here's a check. It's really getting to understand and know your client's business, getting to know the people within the business, and whether it's the owners, the marketing staff. You start to build a relationship. It's you get to know about their families, sometimes meet their families. It just becomes more than, again, a transactional relationship, and it becomes more of a friendship, which you wouldn't trade a 20-year friend for a new one. Right. So, I mean, in the same way, if you have a great relationship with your client, and there is a relationship there, again, it's not just transactional. It there's a comfort there, there's a trust, and to just say, oh, I'm going to get rid of this, person I've been working with for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years for this new person. I think, you'd have to really have screwed up or something for that to happen, because, they trust you, you deliver, you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. That seems like basic, but I think sometimes that gets lost, and integrity matters. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you said there. Um, when you were trying to grow your business, what kind of strategies were you using?
Well, I think one of the big things is networking, right? Just being in the room with the right people, other business owners. It's, I heard this equation. I'm trying to see if I get it exactly right. Um, it's proximity plus time equals influence.
Hmm.
So if you're in proximity to the right kind of customers you're looking for, you're in their proximity, you're in the room, whether it's a networking event, golf event, whatever, proximity plus time. So it's not like a one-time thing. You don't just show up at one networking event and meet somebody one time and get business. That can happen, but that's probably more the exception than the rule. So it's that proximity plus time. So you go to these events multiple times equals influence. So over time, the proximity plus time you'll start to be able to have an influence on that person. They'll start to listen to you. They'll start to see you as a subject matter expert in whatever it is that you do. So I think networking is an important tool. It's more organic, and it's you might say, well, that's funny coming from an ad guy,
Hmm.
but there's multiple types of marketing, and I think every company needs to embrace networking because that's an important piece, and of course, advertising, extremely important piece, especially if you're let's say you're a heating and cooling company or you're a roofing company. Well, you're not going to a networking event where there's a bunch of people standing around that need roofs or need HVAC. So the way you can communicate to a mass group on a mass scale, obviously, is advertising. Um, so there's certain ways that networking is very important, which we use to grow our business. And then out of providing good service comes referrals. Your clients referring you to other clients and telling people, man, Pure Energy is doing a great job for us. You should talk to them, and opening those doors. And that's been huge for us as well, referrals. But one of the things that we grabbed onto early on was social media marketing, and having a presence there, and and posting and reacting to other people's posts, and that just that online engagement. um I can recall a couple of instances where that really put us on the map. I was in the office one day, got a phone call. It was kind of a weird area code I wasn't familiar with, and I answered the phone, and it was a company from Toronto, Canada. And they said they were looking for an agency in because they were opening up an office in, I guess, in Michigan, and they found us on the web. And they were a big electrical contractor. They had offices throughout Canada. They were expanding into the U.S. And we won that account because we had a presence on the web. We had another account. It was a college, and they said they were looking for an agency to help with social media. And they said, man, we kept running to you on the social web, Pure Energy Advertising. So, I got a call from the vice chancellor saying, hey, can you meet with us? Because we need help with this. And we keep seeing you. so,
Hmm.
and when, we won that account. So, being present, whether it's networking or being present on the web or being present with social media, all those things can help open the doors to conversations, which obviously can lead to business.
Yeah. So these two accounts that you're bringing up, do you know how they found you? And was it Organic? Was it from ads? Was it exactly your target market?
It was organic in those instances. It's just, we uh, embraced, social media early as an agency, and we're on a variety of platforms, and we're, posting, again, organic um, posts about marketing or marketing tips or, insights into advertising. And that's what they kept seeing on the social web. And they reached out to us because that's what they needed help on. And they're like, well, man, we need help with social media, and we keep seeing you on social media. So come help us.
There's a woman I know who wakes up every day with one mission: help people who don't know how to escape. She's the president of Sparrow Freedom Project, and she lives and breathes this work. I've heard the stories of survival, pain, unimaginable strength. They'll break your heart and stay with you for weeks. This is not just an organization, it's a lifeline. Sparrow Freedom Project fights human trafficking and supports survivors right here in our community. They need our help. If you're listening and wondering what you can do, it's simple. Make a donation today. Donate now at sparrowfreedomproject.org/donate. It matters. She's given up so much to help others. Let's give something back. Yeah.
So interestingly, that college, we ended up, besides helping them, they asked us to create a social media course for the college to teach. And this particular college didn't have. They had something called the Economic and Workforce Development Division of the college, which did like Six Sigma training, and so they did corporate training. So they wanted us to create social media training courses for that portion of the college where businesses would come. So it wasn't like kids out of high school. It was business oriented, which was our target audience. So we created a social media course. I actually taught it at all their campuses. They have multiple campuses throughout um, southeastern Michigan, and then it was so successful that they asked us to create. We had the 101, social media 101, and then they asked us to create the social media 201, like the more advanced version. So we created that course, and I taught that at all the campuses as well. So yeah, that's what happened out of us being active on the social web. It brought in a client that we could help them, and then it turned us into me being a, I don't know, college professor, I guess. So which was great. It's a lot of fun to see business owners and see the light bulbs go on when you're telling them, here's how you can use social media to, expand your business. And again, not just the paid side, but organically. We've been teaching as a company LinkedIn to corporations for probably maybe 15 years now. We have a course called LinkedIn Unwrapped, and we train sales forces on how to use LinkedIn. Not long ago, we trained a global automotive supplier, their sales team, on how to use LinkedIn. We've trained law firms. We actually did a training for Hospice of Michigan. Interestingly, that they have a sales force too. So there's a lot of companies that they have a sales force, and it's like they want their sales force to be on LinkedIn. But just having a LinkedIn profile doesn't mean it's going to do anything for you. There's things you have to do on a regular basis on LinkedIn to make it work for your business. And so we go into all kinds of companies, automotive dealerships, on and on, to train their staff on how to use LinkedIn, because it's an important tool.
When you did some of the LinkedIn training, what do you see to be the most elementary, basic mistake that everybody is making?
Well, I mean, there's a lot. Incomplete profile, no picture. I mean, literally. I mean, it's like they have the blank shadow guy face that staying whatever. If you don't have a picture, it's this gray kind of box with a circle and two eyes or something. I mean, it's like, you're going to do business with that. I mean,
So really basic.
yeah, I think sometimes, people think, I'm not that attractive. I don't, maybe I don't want to put my picture out there, bizarre to me, but I tell people, look, if you don't think you're very photogenic and you're afraid of your picture, it's the size of a postage stamp. So everybody looks good when you shrink your picture down really small.
Sure.
But you can't be afraid of that. So and again, incomplete profile. It's you LinkedIn really walks you through how to have an all-star profile, and like the things, a lot of times if you don't have a complete profile, when you open up LinkedIn, it'll kind of encourage you to fill this out or fill that out, or whether it's your education or, your past 3 jobs or, whatever. So, you know, that whole thing's a, 3-hour class. And we don't have 3 hours, but
Yeah, I used to think that a lot of this stuff was like for tracking us, like they wanted to know what we're doing, where we are, who we are, which, they are.
there's certainly some of that for sure.
I'm sure. But, does it matter in the end?
I mean, I don't,
Right.
unless you're a world, a criminal.
Yeah. But yeah, like I guess at some point when I started doing this, it was like just put it all out there. Just so what,
Yeah.
let them know everything about me. Maybe it's better.
Well, from a business perspective, it is because, people want to know who they potentially are dealing with. A
Yeah.
lot of times before, I think we all do this, before we work with a new company or vendor, or even if it's at your house, you check them out online. What's their website look like? What's their LinkedIn profile? And, if it's kind of sketchy or not, there's not very much information there, it's kind of a red flag. It's like, well, what's this person trying to hide or whatever, So, yeah, having complete profiles on social media platforms for your business, I think is important. If you want to keep your personal stuff personal, that's fine. But if you have a business, you need to have, a Facebook business page, you have a LinkedIn, profile for yourself as a business person if you're in sales,
Mhm.
and a LinkedIn business page as well. So it's, again, it's just some of those are just tick the box. If somebody's considering you and you're competing against a bunch of other people and they check you out and you look like, well, your stuff isn't complete. It's just not it doesn't help you win the business. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. How have you turned your clients into maybe ambassadors for your brand?
I think again, I think that's really kind of organic as well. It's really providing excellent service and results because they're going to tell other people about you. We have uh, a company that's a franchise. They have, the owner of the has several of the franchises, and they've been a client for about a year, and we really, crushed it for them. Uh, your audience, some people might know what a CPA is, but CPA is cost per acquisition. So, what does it cost you to get a client? And, their CPA before they use Pure Energy and the CPA after, we dropped their CPA by about 40%. So 40% cheaper for them to acquire a client because of the work that we did versus, what they were using before. And so recently they reached out to a bunch of other franchise owners in the same system to say, hey, you know, let's, why don't you guys talk to Pure Energy Advertising? Because we did a good job. Doesn't want to pay 40% less. I mean, so yeah, it's stuff like that. I mean, that's what's going to make people a brand ambassador. It's not me telling them, hey, go tell people about us, or hey, go wear my shirt. I mean, drink out of my coffee mug. So somebody might call. I mean, there's nothing wrong with shirts and coffee mugs and all that stuff, but that's not going to make somebody a brand ambassador. It's what you do for them and the success that you can help them have. That's what it's about.
Yeah, so sounds like certainly managing their expectations, knocking it out of the park, and just, like you said, doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. And when you say you're going to do it. I mean,
Say.
to me, there's a lot of people that do what they say they're going to do. They don't always do it when they say they're going to do it. And that's a big piece of the puzzle.
Tell me about managing your reputation. What's the best way to manage your reputation?
I think we just answered that.
Yeah.
Doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going
Sure.
to do it. And that the rest takes care of itself. From our perspective, we have clients that have come to us that have reputation issues. It's not always their fault. If you look at, online reputation, how many Google stars do you have and stuff? And that's important because people, in certain industries, hey, if somebody's going to come to your house and you need a plumber and you go search for a plumber, the plumber has 2-star review. What are the chances of you hiring that guy, that company? Pretty slim. Well, we had a client that actually they have a great reputation with their clientele, but and the other thing, they didn't have a lot of Google reviews and they didn't focus on that. So when they got a negative review, it really hurt their rating, right? Because the less reviews you have, the bigger impact a negative review will have. So, it's come to find out, one or two of the bad reviews was actually fake. They were from a competitor, just trying to purposely damage their reputation, which is super dangerous. And don't do that out there because you can get your pants sued off for fake reviews. And then another review, again, wasn't from a client. It was somebody they quoted, but they never did the job and they were just, pissy on. So long story short, they basically had 3 reviews that were not favorable, but it hurt their Google rating and dropped them down to, maybe it was a 3.4 or something. I don't remember exactly. But we have a reputation management program that we do that can help mitigate those things. And so we put together a campaign whose purpose is to reach out to their clients and say, hey, if we've done a great job for you, leave us a review. And most of their clients love them. They just never asked people to review them. So when we created this campaign, reputation management campaign, we call it, we got so many great reviews in that it buried, the few not so good reviews and, launched their star rating up into the 4s. So, there's ways to, help people manage their reputation online. And one of the things is, asking for reviews.
If you get a negative review and you think it's from a competitor, what can you do? Like, where do you start?
There's not a lot. It's not easy to getting a negative review removed is difficult, if sometimes near impossible. So, but you could certainly, take legal action, and get an attorney involved if you want to go that route, and have them change the review, remove the review, whatever. But trying to get Google to do it is super challenging. So, I think one of the best ways is just, again, flood the zone with great reviews by going out and asking, for great reviews when you've done a great job.
Yeah. I've seen employees post negative reviews on businesses. Are those fair game?
Employees post negative reviews.
Yeah, like if they get fired, if they had a bad experience.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, I think if you're talking like Indeed, and some of those I think Glassdoor, where there's where employees can talk about their experience at a company. I think there's validity there if it's on the right site, right? If I'm looking to go work at so and so company and I go on Indeed or Glassdoor and I see a lot of their employees say, it's a toxic environment, the manager's mean or whatever, I mean, that's fair game. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. If an employee leaves your company and posts bad reviews about your services and they're fake because they've never bought your services, they're just mad that they're no longer employed. Well, that's obviously
Hmm.
worth going after because it's false. They didn't buy your service and they're saying it's bad. It's like, well,
Sure.
you weren't a customer, so it's not a valid review.
So, how do you keep learning? How do you stay ahead?
I subscribe to a variety of publications. I read a lot. It's just it's never ending because there's always something new coming down the pike, a new technology, a new way to advertise. And so it's we have great partners in the media world that send us things, keep us educated about what's coming down the pike as well. So it's a lot of reading, which I don't mind.
If you were to give everybody a piece of advice, maybe have them, I'm sure like you can answer any questions on marketing and advertising. Um, but if you were to have them take a look at their business and think about their own strategy, what would you have them do?
Well, this might be super obvious, but is it working? And I think what happens is a lot of people uh, just kind of just keeps throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if something sticks, and try to do it themselves as opposed to hiring an agency to help. And a lot of people, I think, we can't afford an agency. Well, I can say you're probably right. You can't afford a conglomerate mega, agency that's doing work for Apple and Nike and stuff like that. I think people get in their minds, well, if I hire an agency, that's the level I'm hiring, and I can't afford that. And again, one of the reasons we started, Pure Energy is to help that, medium size, small to more medium sized clients that, you don't have to hire a conglomerate agency and have a gazillion-dollar budget. You can come to an agency like ours and let a professional help do what we know how to do, so you can focus on doing what you know how to do. And most companies, they're not great at marketing. They're great at whatever they do. That's what they're great at. They want to do more of it and they need more sales. And, so whether it's the owner or, somebody within the company, they just say, hey, help us with marketing or do this marketing thing. And that's, they didn't go to school for it or they've never worked for an agency. So they're just trying to figure it out. Oh, I'm going to try Facebook ads. Oh, I'm going to try YouTube ads. Oh, they don't know. They're just throwing money and it's like hoping something works. And you don't have to do that. Again, you can hire a professional to figure that out for you, help you with your marketing strategy, tell you where you need to be based on your target audiences, uh, you know, handle your budgets, handle your creative. So you can just go focus on what you do and not try to learn this marketing thing that, it's going to take you forever to figure out when you can just hire a professional that knows what you're doing and solve the problem that way.
Sure. So when they're thinking about, I'm sure you get this question a lot, when they're thinking about a strategy and they go in a certain direction, how long until they say it's not working?
Uh, I'm not sure I 100% understood the question. Like how long should they wait to try something to see if they're doing it themselves?
No, no, like after they implement something, they start with the advertising. How long before they say 3 months, 4 months? Okay, like I'm not getting the results I'm looking for. 6 months?
Yeah, it depends on what they're doing. There's different types of campaigns. There's call to action, which is, there's a sales event. It's going to end this weekend, or, maybe for an auto dealership, it's a lease deal. The lease is only good, this lease deal ends at the end of the month. So those are call to action. Like, hey, you got to take action now because this sale or this special is going to end. And then there's branding, which is more awareness advertising. Think Apple. Okay, when you see an Apple commercial, You ever see a price?
No, I can't think of one.
No. Think of Nike. Do you see a price in their ads?
No.
Or Polo?
No.
You see what I mean? Those are just the big examples, of course, of branding. It's awareness. They're trying to make you feel a certain way about the brand. So they're not trying to get an immediate sale. They are creating a brand awareness. So when you're ready to buy a computer or a smartwatch or a phone, you're going to think of Apple because they've created this brand awareness. And it's like, man, you see the commercials, you see how seamlessly things work. It's, man, I want to try an Apple. Or you're, end of the year, it's 2025 just started. Man, I want to get in shape. Just do it. You think of Nike and those people, running and sweating, and it's not about, oh, they have a sale or what. It's just they've created this awareness. So when you are ready to purchase a product in their sector, whether it's shoes or sweatpants or a computer or watch, they've created that awareness so you consider them or the purchase because it makes you feel a certain way when you think about their brand. So branding is a much longer, and that it's not an immediate response. It takes time. Branding isn't something that turns on the cash register right away. It's a long-term process, right, of building that feeling. So when they are ready to consider a product or service that you have, they're going to consider you because you've kept your brand in front of them, and it makes them feel good about thinking about your brand when they're ready to make a purchase decision. Call to action is that, even think of all the pizza places, this week only, get a large pizza for $9.99. It's like, it's immediate. Okay. It's going to help, crank that cash register faster. Cause if I don't take action now, I'm going to miss out on that lease deal or that special or that, $100 off or, whatever it is. Different types of advertising serve different purposes, and some have longer lead times to make an impact than others. A call to action is more immediate. Like we're going to sell something this month because it ends this month. So you make sense of urgency, so it just depends, It also depends on how long a brand's been in a market. So if you're new to a market, call to action isn't necessarily going to turn the crank. Let's say you had a special that month because nobody knows who you are. So that if you're new to a market, it could take months to start to people just to be even familiar with your brand, let alone buying something. So all of it depends on the type of advertising that you're doing will determine, how fast you should get results.
That makes a lot of sense. I was thinking of it as more of a granular example, like my Facebook ad, but you're saying the big picture really depends on what kind of advertising, what you're doing.
Yeah. And how familiar your people are with your brand before you start advertising. Right. Because if they're not, it's just because you throw an ad out there for a special, it's like, well, I don't even know who you are. I don't know if I trust you yet. Right. That takes time.
Good information. Beautiful. Kevin, thank you so much for being here and doing this. Really appreciate your time. You're the expert that I recommend to people when I talk to them, and certainly will continue to do so. How do they find you?
You can go to the website, getpureenergy.com. And, if you type Pure Energy Advertising on just about any social platform, you'll find us. LinkedIn, Facebook, X. So we're out there. And for you old schoolers, 248-086 is our main line.
Love it. Love it. All right, Kevin. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Mark. Big thanks to Kevin for sharing his marketing insights and experience. If you're trying to grow your brand, this episode was packed with value. If you've got something out of it, do me a favor. Subscribe, leave a review, share it with someone who wants to take their business to the next level. And if you got questions or want to talk strategy, reach out. Kevin would love to hear from you. You can find Kevin at getpureenergy.com. And as always, I'm your host, Joe Toma, helping you make your brand remarkable. Until next time, keep showing up, keep learning, and keep making your mark.